April 15, 1945, inside a B-29 bomber at 30,000 feet over Tokyo, flames shooting from our number 3 engine and Japanese fighter planes swarming us like angry hornets. 11 of us trapped in a burning aircraft, anti-aircraft shells exploding all around, and we still had 1,500 miles of ocean to cross before reaching safety. Our bomb run on Tokyo had gone perfectly. Too perfectly. The Japanese were waiting for us, and now they wanted revenge. My pilot was screaming into the radio for help that wasn't coming. Our gunners were firing at targets they could barely see through the smoke, and I was staring at my navigation charts wondering if we'd even make it past the Japanese coast. My name is Lieutenant Carl Henderson, and this is the story of how my B-29 crew survived the longest flight of our lives after being shot to pieces over Tokyo. I was 25 years old from Chicago, the navigator on a B-29 superfortress named Chicago Belle. We'd been bombing Japan for 3 months, flying from Tinian Island in the Mariana Islands, hitting factories, refineries, and cities. The B-29 was the biggest, most advanced bomber in the world, could fly higher and farther than anything the Japanese had. We thought we were untouchable. April 15th proved us wrong. Our pilot was Captain Tom Bradley from Georgia, the best pilot I ever flew with. Our co-pilot was Lieutenant Jake Morrison. Our bombardier was Sam Cohen. Our flight engineer was Eddie Rodriguez, and we had 6 gunners protecting us from fighters. 11 men total, all under 30, all convinced we'd live forever. The mission brief was simple: daylight raid on an aircraft factory in Tokyo. 70 B-29s would hit the target simultaneously, overwhelming Japanese defenses. Intelligence said fighter opposition would be light. Intelligence was wrong. We took off at dawn, formed up over the ocean, and began the 7-hour flight to Japan. At 30,000 feet, the temperature was 50 below zero. We wore heated suits, but the cold still seeped in. Ice formed on the windows. Your breath froze. As we approached the Japanese coast, our radar operator reported contacts. Lots of contacts. Japanese fighters were scrambling everything they had to stop us. We counted over 100 fighters rising to meet our formation. "Gunners, stay sharp," Captain Bradley said over the intercom. "This is going to get rough." The fighters hit us 20 miles from Tokyo. They came from all directions, diving through our formation, firing cannons and machine guns. Our gunners returned fire, tracers streaking through the sky. A B-29 to our left took a direct hit in the bomb bay. It exploded in a massive fireball. 11 men gone in an instant. We pressed on. The target was ahead. We couldn't turn back now. Sam Cohen was in the nose, looking through his bomb sight, making final adjustments. 30 seconds to release, he called. Anti-aircraft fire started. Black clouds of flak appeared around us, each one a 88 Michelle exploding. Shrapnel pinged off our fuselage. The B-29 shuddered with each near miss. "Bombs away," Sam called. I felt the aircraft lurch upward as 4 tons of bombs dropped from our bay. We'd hit our target. Now we just had to survive the flight home. That's when a Japanese fighter, a Kawasaki Ki-61, came straight at us head-on. Gutsy move. Suicidal, actually. Our nose gunner fired, hitting the fighter, but not before it fired back. Cannon shells ripped into our number 3 engine. The engine exploded, caught fire, flames streaming back along the wing. "Engine 3 is gone. Fire in number 3, Eddie Rodriguez shouted from the flight engineer station. "I can't put it out." Captain Bradley feathered the engine, stopping the propeller, but the fire kept burning. If it reached the fuel tanks in the wing, we'd explode. "We're losing altitude," Jake Morrison reported. "Down to 28,000 feet, 26,000. Can't maintain altitude on 3 engines." Japanese fighters saw we were damaged and pressed their attacks. They knew a wounded bomber was easy prey. Our gunners fought them off, but we were taking more hits. A burst of machine gun fire came through the fuselage, narrowly missing me, punching holes in my navigation table. We dropped to 20,000 feet, then 15,000. The fire in the wing finally burned out, but the damage was done. We lost an engine and taken structural damage. The aircraft was barely controllable. "Carl, give me a heading for Iwo Jima," Captain Bradley said. "We'll never make it back to Tinian. Iwo is our only shot." Iwo Jima. We captured it 2 months earlier specifically as an emergency landing field for damaged B-29s. It was 750 miles away. We were flying on 3 engines, losing altitude with Japanese fighters still harassing us. I plotted the course. Heading 145 degrees, range 750 miles, at our current speed and altitude 5 hours flying time. If we maintain this rate of descent, we'll hit the water in 3 hours. "Then we'll have to not descend," Captain Bradley said grimly. For the next 3 hours, Captain Bradley fought to keep that damaged bomber in the air. He coaxed every bit of power from the remaining 3 engines. We threw out everything we didn't need: guns, ammunition, equipment, anything to lighten the load. We even threw out my navigation equipment after I'd plotted our course. The Japanese fighters finally turned back when we got far enough from Japan. They were at the limit of their fuel range. We were alone over the Pacific, 5,000 feet above the water and still slowly descending. "Radio, send a distress call," Captain Bradley ordered. "Tell them we're heading for Iwo, but we might not make it." Our radio operator sent the message, but we got no response. Either our radio was damaged or we were out of range. We were on our own. Hour 4. We were at 3,000 feet. The ocean looked very close. Everyone was silent, watching the altimeter, doing mental calculations of how much longer we had. "I see it," Sam Cohen shouted from the nose. "I see Iwo dead ahead." There it was, a tiny speck on the horizon. Mount Suribachi, the volcanic mountain on the southern end of Iwo Jima, the most beautiful sight I'd ever seen. But we had a new problem. We were at 1,500 feet and still descending. We weren't going to make it to the runway. We'd have to ditch in the ocean just short of the island. "Prepare for water landing," Captain Bradley announced. "Everyone to crash positions. We're going in." We assumed crash positions, bracing ourselves. Captain Bradley lined up on the water between us and the island, maybe half a mile from shore, close enough that we could swim if we survived the landing. The B-29 hit the water hard. The impact threw me forward into my station. Water exploded over the nose. The aircraft broke apart behind the wings. Water poured in. "Out, everybody out," Bradley was shouting. I grabbed the emergency escape hatch and yanked it open. Water was already chest deep. I pulled myself through the hatch and found myself in the ocean. The B-29 was sinking fast, nose down, tail in the air. I counted heads. 1, 2, 3, 9. Where were the other 2? Then I saw them. Bradley and Morrison had stayed in the cockpit, making sure everyone else got out. They were climbing out now as the bomber sank beneath them. 11 men in the water, swimming toward Iwo Jima. Navy rescue boats from the island were already coming toward us. We'd all survived. When we finally stood on the beach at Iwo Jima, soaking wet, exhausted, barely believing we were alive, Captain Bradley said, "That's it for me, boys. That was my last mission. I'm done." None of us blamed him. We'd flown from Tokyo to Iwo Jima on 3 engines with a burning wing and landed in the ocean half a mile from shore. We survived when we had no right to. That was enough for all of us. Chicago Belle sank in 100 feet of water off Iwo Jima. She's still there, but her crew all made it home. 11 men who should have died over Tokyo or in the Pacific all survived. I flew 27 more missions before the war ended, on a different B-29. We bombed Japan until they finally surrendered in August. But I never forgot that flight, that 5-hour struggle to reach Iwo Jima before we hit the water. I'm 104 years old now. Most of my crew is gone, but I remember every minute of that mission, from the fighters over Tokyo to ditching in the ocean to swimming to shore. We did our job, we survived, and we came home.